Good morning, boys and girls. It's Miss Preller here with your skills block lesson of the day. For today's lesson, you're not going to need any materials. You're just going to need your pointer finger because we're going to be doing some reading. Now, our target today is using evidence from the text. I can answer questions about the story, The Bowling Alley. So today I'm going to be reading the engagement text to you, and your job is to make pictures in your brain and think about what I'm saying. Here's our engagement text song. Gather round together and listen up well. We're going to read a story that you can retell. When we read the story, you will grow. At the end, you'll say back what you know. So, here's our engagement text. Now, the title of the text is The Bowling Alley. And in our text, we've got the characters Chip and Josh. So I want you to make pictures in your brain. See that orange cat Chip and that brown rat Josh. And let's think about what they're up to. Josh is poking his nose around the alley looking for dinner when he sees something strange next to a trash can. It is taller than he is and shaped sort of like a person with no legs or arms. It is white with a red ring around its neck. What could it be? He thinks. It looks sort of like a jug for water. Then Chip walks around the corner. A bowling pin, says Chip. I snuck into the bowling alley once. They have some great snacks in there. Anyway, I saw a bunch of these. You set them up and roll a ball at them to try to knock them over. Sounds fun, said Josh. Want to try? They search for more pins. They find 5. Not a whole set, but still enough to play. They set the pins up in the middle of the alley just like Chip had seen at the bowling alley. What about a ball? Asks Chip. We can use a soccer ball, says Josh. I think it has a hole in it, so a kid threw it away in the trash can next to my rat hole yesterday. Josh rolls the ball over. It's a little flat, but it'll work. Chip pushes the ball with his front paws as hard as he can. He only hits 1 pin. I can do better than that, boasts Josh. He sets the pin back up with the rest. Then he rolls the ball back over and pushes it with all his strength. He hits 2 pins. I'm just warming up, says Chip. He sets the pins back up and rolls the ball over, closes his eyes, and pushes the soccer ball with all his might. 4 pins tip over. The last one wobbles back and forth. Will it tip over? Yes! The 5th pin tips over. Chip is the winner. I will practice and I will beat you next time. Now that we have our own bowling alley, we can play whenever we want, says Josh. Now, boys and girls, I'm going to ask you some comprehension questions. Remember that comprehension means that you're understanding what was just read to you. And our target said using evidence from the text. So we're going to go back and make sure that we are finding in the text where we got our answers from. My first question is, at the beginning of the story, what does Josh find in the alley? Remember, Josh finds something that's white with a red ring around its neck. He doesn't know what it could be, and he thinks it might be a jug for water. But then Chip comes and tells him that it's a bowling pin. What type of ball do they decide to bowl with? Now, normally you use a bowling ball, but they don't have one. They use a soccer ball. Who wins the game of bowling, Chip or Josh? At the end it says, Chip is the winner, but Josh has a good attitude and he says, I'll practice and I'll beat you next time. He has a good attitude about it. What does the author mean by not a whole set of bowling pins? Well, the author says they have 5, and he says not a whole set, but just enough to play for now. So not a whole set means they don't have all the bowling pins that you would normally play with, because actually when you bowl, usually you have 10 pins and they only have 5. What does it mean when Chip pushes the ball with all his might? That means that he's pushing as hard as he can. How can Chip know what a bowling pin is? Well, it says that he snuck into the bowling alley because they have great snacks and he saw people bowling. That's how he knows what a bowling pin is. At the end of the story, Josh says, I will practice and beat you next time. How can Josh practice? Yeah, Josh can practice by setting up the bowling pins and practicing rolling the ball at it on his own. Great job answering those questions, boys and girls. Now that we've read the engagement text, we're going to move on to our second learning target, which is I can read the decodable text, the bowling alley. Now, decodable means that any word in this you either should know in a snap because it's a sight word, or you can sound it out. And our second target is I can blend unknown words. And blend means to sound out, and unknown means those tricky words. So I can sound out tricky words is our second target. Here's our decodable reader song. Now we'll read a story with letters that we know. Get your finger ready to follow the flow. When we see a word, we'll stop and look and get our mouths ready to read the book. So that target and that song hopefully got your brain ready for sounding out some words. Now I'm going to model what we should do when we get to a word we don't know. So here I've got a P-I-N. So I'm going to give each letter a sound. In, pin. Did you hear it as I gave each letter a sound? Now, you can go like this. N. But it's a lot trickier for your ears to hear it when you say it slowly, which is why I like to sing it. In, pin. So let's do the next one together. We're going to sound it out. We're going to sing it. Do it with me, please. J. Ugh. Did you hear it? J. Ugh. Jug. Sometimes if you don't hear it the first time, you gotta go back and do it even faster. Okay, here's our next one. It. Hit. Did you hear it? You try this one on your own. Did you say w? In. Win? You did. Great job. Now, this book, because they're knocking down pins, there's a lot of number words in it. We should know this one because it's a sight word that we've taught you. This is the number 1, and we've talked about how 1 is a rule breaker because it sounds like it has a W, but it has an O. So we just have to know the number 1. Here is the number word for 2. Now we know this kind of 2, T-O. But the number 2 is spelled T-W-O. And last, we have the number 4. Now, we know this 4. That means, like, this gift is for you. And you can see how the number 4 has an extra U in it. So this is the number 4. 1, 2, 4. Those words, we want to know in a snap because it's going to make reading this book a lot easier. Now, we're going to read this book twice. The title is The Bowling Alley, and the first time I read it, or the first time I'm going to read it with you, the second time you're going to try reading it by yourself because the more we read a book, the more fluent we get, which means the more smooth our reading sounds. Okay, The Bowling Alley. Okay, so I'm going to read and I'm going to model using that target, which is I can blend unknown words. I can sound out unknown words. So watch when I get to a word I don't know, how I sound it out. Josh can see a pin by the can. Every other word in that book, in that page I knew, I just needed pin. Now, because that wasn't smooth, I always go back and reread. Josh can see a pin by the can. Good, you try. Excellent. Let's read this one together. Get your finger ready under the first word. What is it for? Is it a jug? Jug? Okay, let's go back and make that smooth. What is it for? Is it a jug? Because remember, at first, Josh didn't know what it was. He thought it was like a jug of water. Let's read this one together. We can sound this word out, but you probably recognize it because we've seen it many times. Chip can hit one pin. Let's go back and read again. Chip can hit one pin. Good. Josh can hit, do you remember this word? T-W-O, 2. Will Josh win? Let's read that again and make that smooth. Josh can hit 2. Will Josh win? Let's see who wins this game. Read with me. Get your finger ready. Chip can hit 4. Remember, the number 4 has that extra U. Will he hit them all? Let's read that one more time. Chip can hit 4. Will he hit them all? The pin will tip. Will Chip win? The pin will tip. Will Chip win? Let's think about that. Who wins the game of bowling when we read the engagement text? That's right, Chip does win because he's knocking all the pins down. Great job, boys and girls. Now it's your turn to read on your own. Make sure you're pointing under each word. And remember, if you get stuck, what's that strategy? Yep, sound it out. You can always pause the video if I'm going too fast for you. The bowling alley. Great reading, boys and girls. How do you think Chip is going to act when he wins the game? I hope he's a good sport and tells Josh that it's going to be okay. How do you think Josh feels losing the game? Yeah, it might not feel so good for Josh to lose the game, but remember, in the engagement text, Josh had a really good attitude about it, and he said he's going to keep practicing. Here's my reflecting on learning question. What are some things that you did when you got stuck on a word? Now remember, our target was I can blend unknown words, so I can sound out words I don't know. And I hope that's a strategy you used. You might have also used other strategies we've worked on in reading, like looking at the pictures, knowing sight words in a snap, using the beginning sound. All of those things are strategies you can use when reading. It's been great learning with you all, and I can't wait to learn with you again tomorrow.